Welcome to Lancaster City, a beautiful city located in the heart of Pennsylvania. Lancaster City is known for its charming historical downtown area, rich cultural heritage, and vibrant community. But did you know that Lancaster City and County also has a rich Black history? Despite being overlooked in many history books, the Black community has made significant contributions to the development and growth of Lancaster City and County. The history of Black people in Lancaster dates back to the 1700s, when the city was a major center for the slave trade. Many enslaved Africans were brought to Lancaster, where they were sold to local farmers and businesses. Despite facing immense oppression and discrimination, Black people in Lancaster were able to establish thriving communities and institutions. For example, Thaddeus Stevens, a prominent abolitionist and member of Congress, lived and worked in Lancaster. He played a key role in the passage of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which abolished slavery, granted citizenship to Black people, and gave them the right to vote. Other notable Black figures in Lancaster's history include William Howard Day, a civil rights leader and newspaper editor, Lucretia Mott, a women's rights and abolitionist activist, and Charlotte Brown, the first Black teacher in Lancaster City. As you can see, Lancaster City and County have a rich, complex Black history that is often overlooked. By exploring this history, we can gain a better understanding of the struggles and contributions of Black people in our community and beyond. I have the pleasure of introducing Joslyn Johnson, the Communications and Marketing Director at the Lancaster Chamber. Originally from Philadelphia, Joslyn migrated to Lancaster and has been an active member of the community, providing his unique perspective on the diversity in the area and highlighting some of the local initiatives and culture. Today, we'll be chatting with Joslyn about his experience in Lancaster and how he's seen the city grow and evolve over time. Joslyn has been a driving force behind the city's continued success, from his work with the Chamber to his involvement in various community organizations. So sit back, relax, and join us as we dive into the fascinating world of Lancaster City through the eyes of Joslyn Johnson.
My name is Joslyn Johnson. I am the Director of Marketing and Communications for the Lancaster Chamber here in Lancaster County. Originally, I am from Philadelphia. Born and raised in Philadelphia in a very large family of 13. Moved to Lancaster in 2010 and now call Lancaster my home.
Wow. What was your first impression of Lancaster City before you moved here? And have you heard of it?
So yes, so I knew of Lancaster prior to moving, and there was no way I was moving here or living here.
Now, why is that?
I just felt that it wasn't a community that I could see myself in. Mm-hmm. I felt that it wasn't, it didn't seem very diverse. Mm-hmm. It didn't seem very welcoming. And growing up in Philadelphia, it was all around. Diversity was everywhere. It was inclusion. Everything was just, it was in our lives every single day. Even though I did grow up in a very, I would say, closed community. Mm-hmm. And I also grew up in a very white community as well. However, I was exposed to, I lived in a Black neighborhood. Right. So I played with other Black kids. I knew about Black culture because of my father and my mother's family. We were always introduced to things growing up as kids. However, I was introduced to Lancaster through my partner, okay. Currently. His family is originally from Lancaster, and so he was living in Philadelphia for 16 years before I met him, mm-hmm. And he started to bring me up here to visit his family, and would always suggest the idea of moving to Lancaster, mm-hmm. and my answer was always no.
Right. So, speaking on that, what made you change your mind then? Because I know you said your answer was no. What made you change your mind and want to come to Lancaster?
So I can tell you exactly when it was. Mm-hmm. In 2005, we were visiting Lancaster, mm-hmm. And I saw a shift. I saw a shift in change, mm-hmm. to where I could see more people like me, mm-hmm. or even, not even more people like me, but people like-minded. Right. You know, it mm-hmm. wasn't like I saw more Black people here in Lancaster. As we know, the Black population is not very large in Lancaster mm-hmm. County. But what I felt was like there were more people who thought the way I did, mm-hmm. Were moving to Lancaster. And then in Philadelphia, I came out when I was 28. And so I found the art community and they became my family.
Yeah.
And so that was the family that I started to see that was growing here in Lancaster.
Yeah. That's well said. Okay, so when you actually like reached the point of being here in Lancaster, what was your first impression of the diversity once you got here?
There was little.
Yeah.
Very little. And especially because I moved to the city when I first moved here. I lived over in West Lancaster. And I could see diversity because I worked in the city. I actually worked in the city. So, and I worked for the Demuth Museum, which is actually directly across, the street. That was my first job here in Lancaster. And I was in charge of the education programs. And so I got to be involved with elementary schools throughout Lancaster County. So I got to work with Ross Elementary, several elementary schools in Lancaster City, and then throughout Lancaster County. So I was exposed to that diversity through education.
Right. So do you remember your very first experience with Black culture in the city?
Yes. So interestingly enough, that did not come until much later. I'm going to say in 2019 was the first time that I attended the Martin Luther King breakfast. And it was the first time that I was in a room there were more than 20 Black people in a room.
Wow.
That was the first time that I actually was exposed to more than 20 Black people in the same space.
Right. So that long stretch of time, you wasn't exposed. That's interesting.
That's correct.
Okay, so jumping right into it. So what do you like most about living or working in the city?
So the one thing that I really found that I've gravitated towards in Lancaster is that even though it's considered a conservative area, it's very progressive in thought.
Yes.
And so I really think that Lancaster is on like a precipice of like tipping over to being a very inclusive culturally and also very becoming much more open-minded.
Yeah. So I guess I'll follow that up with this. So what do you think? How do you think that Lancaster kind of could evolve in the future?
So I think we're starting to see a shift in our leadership. And that I think is where it needs to start because when we have those in leadership that think a certain way and feel a certain way and don't believe in change, then it's not going to happen.
Absolutely.
Right? And so I think the only way that change is going to happen is if policies are changed. And the only people that are going to do that are the people that it's affecting. Right? So we are seeing a slight shift in who we're seeing in leadership. You can see that in organizations when they're hiring presidents and vice presidents. We see a difference in our politicians, who's running for offices. And that is where it starts because that's where change is going to start. And so that's one thing that I think is really exciting. That's another reason why I'm really enjoy being here and I like seeing that. Unfortunately, the last 4 years, we saw a shift backwards, which was unfortunate. And so it's been really difficult, I think, since either right after the murder of George Floyd and COVID. I really think that we're kind of clawing our way back to where we were before COVID.
What do you think are some of the current community challenges that Black people face in Lancaster County?
In Lancaster County. So I think one of the things that Lancaster, and I've been learning a lot more about this, being new to Lancaster. I don't know a lot of the history, but I think due to redlining the Black community has been segmented in Lancaster County. And so what has happened is we've been having a really difficult time as a population infiltrating the rest of the county, right? And so I think that is a problem when you're located in a small area of the county. It's hard for you to either get jobs other places or live in other places. And so until we can fully integrate our community throughout Lancaster County, like that's going to be something that's going to be really that's going to be a struggle for us in where we live, where we work, where we have our businesses, all of those things.
Can you share of any local initiatives or programs that you particularly are excited about or you find promising in the Lancaster area?
Yeah, so there are a couple ones, and I'm going to highlight one because I work there. But I work at the Lancaster Chamber, and currently we have a program. It is called the Underrepresented Business Partnership, where the Chamber is bringing in Black-owned or minority-owned, actually, businesses throughout Lancaster County, and we are providing them with a free membership to the Chamber and having them go through and engage with the Chamber at our events, come to spaces that they wouldn't necessarily be in or have a voice in, and then give us feedback on how we can better integrate our programming so that it feels more inclusive, so that people, minority-owned business, feel comfortable enough to join our membership, to come to our events, to speak out in those spaces that they wouldn't necessarily be in.
I think that's very powerful because, sometimes when you're trying to implement things for the underrepresented, it's people who haven't experienced that. So we invite those people in and allow them to have a voice and feedback. I think it really gets to the root cause of what needs to be changed and gives them to opportunities.
Right.
So I think that's powerful. Any other initiatives that you think that you could think of?
So, I mean, there's a couple of things. Yeah. I mean, DE&I has been something that we've seen gain momentum here in Lancaster over the last year or two after the murder of George Floyd. And so one of there's so many. So there's a couple, so I'm going to highlight maybe one or two. One is Patients Are Waiting, which is a nonprofit by Dr. Hamlin here in Lancaster, who's a doctorate at LGH. And she's realized that there were no Black doctors in LGH. And people coming in were noticing that. And so minority people were going to the hospital and not feeling comfortable being able to talk to someone who didn't look like them. So that is something that she is trying to ratify. And so her programming is trying to create more accessibility for people of color or BIPOC people for medical health. And so she's done several initiatives, especially with the vaccine, trying to get that to people who don't have access or who feel uncomfortable, just informing our community about what the vaccine is. The other initiative is several organizations that are looking at their supplier diversity. One in particular is HDC Atlantic, which is a housing nonprofit organization here that help. They do a bunch of things. They help with housing, affordable housing. They also help with, they project manage several, I would say, communities where there is affordable housing. And so the one thing they realized is that their clients are people of color, but all of their suppliers were all white people or non-local businesses. And so they're they started an initiative where they're looking at everything, all of the things that they do. Like, is there someone local? Is there a person person of color that has a business that we can invest in. So that's been really exciting too. They just presented to our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee a couple weeks ago, and was really excited to see that initiative.
Yeah, that's thank you for shouting those out, because you know when you're engulfed in it, maybe you might not hear of some of these companies. So I appreciate you shouting some of them out. So we're gonna get into some of the fun parts now.
Okay,
thank you for
good.
answering all the hard questions for me. So the first question: are there any? And if you don't have any, that's fine. But any landmarks or events, black events or landmarks that you've seen that you think people should visit when they come to Lancaster?
Very good question. I don't know many, unfortunately. Like I said, my introduction to the Black community has been recent, and I've lived here in Lancaster, mostly in the northern region of Lancaster, and our Black community is situated in southern part of Lancaster, and so I don't know really much, but I have been exposed because of the arts. So I guess it was when they officially made Juneteenth an official holiday, which was amazing. I was involved in a couple of programming that had happened, and there were several Black artists who did public installations throughout Lancaster. And those installations, they were temporary, but it really did expose a lot of artists who wouldn't necessarily have gotten that exposure, which was really nice. There is another business. I work at the Chamber, so I'm going to highlight businesses. Unique Lancaster Experiences.
Yes.
Kendra has been very intentional about trying to expose people who come to visit Lancaster to the different things in Lancaster. They're not the usual Amish buggies or farmland. And I'm really excited. We're actually partnering with her to do a tour with our young professionals coming up in May. So I'm excited for that. I'm going to be a part of that, and I'm hoping that she's going to show me some things that I may not have known growing up here in Lancaster.
Wow, that's awesome. I heard you talk about being an artist.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? And then after you do so, can you also maybe highlight some Black artists that you know throughout the Lancaster County?
Sure, yeah. So that was my first love, but that I didn't get a chance to actually do until I was much older and working. I actually quit my job and went back to school to be an artist, and did that for a while, and then realized that I couldn't survive being an artist, and so I went back to school and actually started working in education. So I ended in education, but art has always been something that I've been doing all my life since I was a kid, and so it's been great to be able to get involved in the art community here in Lancaster County. Luckily, when I first moved here, a gallery took on my work right away, which was pretty amazing. And I had my first show the first year I lived here.
Congrats to you.
Yeah, thank you.
That's wonderful.
And so the interesting thing is that Lancaster County is an old county. And so the arts community has really been embedded. And there's an old kind of I would say, community of artists that I was lucky to be accepted into, of artists who have lived here and worked here all their life. But there's a new and upcoming rise of artists in Lancaster, and they are people of color. We're starting to see that, and that has been really exciting. Over the last year, I've been able to be engaged with Shelby Wormley, is a photographer, and I got to see her show. She did a show of barbershops in Lancaster County. She went around and photographed barbershops in Lancaster County and went to that opening, and they were absolutely amazing. And then she's not Black, but Claudia Rojas is an immigrant from Cuba. Her work is absolutely beautiful. She works in mixed media, but also watercolor as well. And so I went to her show and have been blown away, and actually was able to get her engaged with the Chamber, where we had an exhibition and we included her work in that show. The other person I'm going to mention, I don't know him, but I'm hoping to know him.
Speaking to existence.
Right?
Okay.
His name is Dominique or Jordan Miller.
I know. Well,
you probably know of him.
Yeah, he's like Lancaster.
Yes, he's an R&B singer, rapper, but he also started a community of artists called EOS Arts. And I'm hoping to connect with him soon. This morning, I just connected with him on LinkedIn. But I really would like the Chamber to get more engaged in the arts. And I'd like to start with those communities that are up and coming. And he is one that is definitely, he's on the map.
Yeah, I know he does some like spoken word as well. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we're on our very last question.
Okay.
I hope you're excited.
Yes.
So what advice do you give to the young Black people or minorities who are considering moving to Lancaster or are currently here?
So I would definitely say to be open-minded. And interestingly enough, I don't know if people will be angry with me because we don't see it from the other side, but show some empathy. And understand that this community is deeply rooted in the birth of our nation. And when you do a little digging to learn about the birth of our nation, then you understand that a lot of these people were not exposed to be around diversity, were not exposed to different cultures. And so moving into a community like this, we have to understand that we have to meet people where they are, right? I understand, and I always applaud those that are advocates or speak out for those that can't speak for themselves. But that's just not the way that I am, and that's not the way how I make impact. I definitely would rather have a conversation with someone than to yell at someone and call them a racist or call them, this is inappropriate. Like, it took a while with my father-in-law and myself to have many, many conversations about things that he used to say with me around. And my sister actually moved from Philadelphia to Mechanicsburg, and she is now dealing with the same thing with her in-laws. Because interestingly enough, this is another tidbit, my entire family, we are interracial couples.
Wow.
Not one of us has married a person of color, which is very fascinating to me as I see.
13 of y'all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now, some of them are still single. Not everybody, but everyone who has a significant other, they are white. Okay. Which is very fascinating. But that is one thing that I've found is that you have to have a conversation with people. And you can let them know that this is this is how you feel, this is your background, but you have to understand that they may not immediately accept that or understand it. And it's going to take some time. And the other thing is that we are always going to be a minority, correct? That is just the nature of our world, is that we're going to be a minority. So we are going to be constantly having to have conversations, to speak out. We are constantly going to have to show up in spaces that people aren't going to want us there. We are constantly going to have to fight. But hopefully the things that we're doing now make it slightly easier for our upcoming generation. And I think that we are going to see that, because I think our generation now is realizing that we're not going to see this huge change right away. And so we are slowly planting the seeds in our children who are coming up now, so that their children will possibly see a much better world.
That was so nice. That was beautifully said. Next, we'll be taking a closer look at some of the amazing food and culture that Lancaster City has to offer. First up, we'll spend some time with my mom, Miss Yates, in the kitchen, where she'll show us how to make one of the most beloved African-American staples, baked mac and cheese. As we whip up this delicious dish together, Miss Yates will share some of the history and significance behind this classic comfort food. From her family traditions to the cultural impact of soul food, this segment is sure to be both informative and mouth-watering. And then we'll be heading out to visit Caribbean Wave, a Black-owned restaurant located right here in Lancaster City. With its vibrant atmosphere and delicious cuisine, Caribbean Wave is a true gem in the city's culinary scene. We'll sample some of their signature dishes while learning about the rich Caribbean culture that inspires their menu. So get ready to savor the flavors of Lancaster City as we explore the diverse and delicious food scene that makes this city so special. I'm Joslyn, and this is my mom, Mrs. Yates.
Hello.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am originally from New York. I came to Lancaster in 1981 looking for better opportunities, our family was. And evidently we liked it, and it was the right pace for a family, and been here ever since.
So what do you like most about Lancaster?
I like that it's a little quieter than a big city. You can really focus on your kids and keep track of them a little better than a big city. And I like all the greenery.
Oh, yeah. Me too. I like
Yeah,
that too.
the greenery.
So, since you've been in Lancaster for quite some time, do you know of any African-American restaurants or chefs here?
Oh, I know Chef Oliver. I know there's a lot of food trucks popping up. Derek, soul food restaurant used to have, but now he helps with the mix with children and cook. It's about, I say, maybe 5 that I know of in Lancaster.
I was just talking to someone about Dan the Man.
Oh, Dan, he's gone though.
I know he is.
He was good. Yeah.
He has some good stuff. Some sweet potato pie, cheesecake.
Yeah.
Some collard greens.
You can't forget his fried chicken and his ribs. So I'm just saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you think African American food, like what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
So many things. You really asking me to limit it. Let's see.
What's the first thing?
Oh, Lord have mercy. Potato salad, macaroni and cheese, fried chicken and collard greens, cornbread.
But you forgot the most important thing.
I said mac and cheese.
Oh, you did say mac and cheese.
Yes, I did.
And that's what we're going to be making today.
Okay, yes. And not everybody make macaroni and cheese the same. And yeah, I need the macaroni and cheese to stick to your ribs.
You need the mac and cheese to be mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese. I know some people like the creamy, but I like it to hold the body together.
Okay. All right, we're going to get into it.
Okay.
So, what cheese do you think is essential for a baked macaroni and cheese? The
I
way?
guarantee you, 95% of every African American will tell you gotta have sharp cheddar. That's number one.
Right there.
I don't care what you mix the other cheeses with.
Yeah.
If you don't have that in it, it ain't happening. It gotta be extra sharp.
Okay. Now, there's a big debate on baked macaroni and cheese, eggs or no eggs.
See me, I love macaroni and cheese so much. I've seen them so many different ways. But to hold that body together, you gotta have eggs.
I feel you.
Yeah. Unless you want creamy, almost like Kraft macaroni and cheese, just gourmet, you don't use eggs.
We don't want that Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Okay, so we got a plethora of things. But like, let's talk about the essentials. Like when you need macaroni and cheese, like you need, I think you need onion powder for sure.
Guaranteed. There's something about the onion.
Onion and garlic?
Yes.
Those have to go in there.
Yes.
Like if you could put anything in your baked macaroni and cheese, it has to have onion and garlic in it.
Yes, and it has to have just a pinch of a smoke. Some people like smoke.
So
just a little bit, not to overpower it.
For your smoke, what do you use?
I'm using chili
She's using chili powder.
powder. Mm-hmm.
Chili powder. Okay, and then what other elements of baked macaroni and cheese?
Oh, see, now you asked me a whole little bit of a lot of things.
What about this Worcestershire sauce?
There was just those things, yes. And you don't want to put too much salt in it because
Cheese.
cheese is salty.
Yes.
You don't want to put, some people put butter and some don't. I'll do a little bit of butter today, but it can make it not stick together. Remember, we want to have a body macaroni and cheese, not a Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Yes.
So
Do
is important.
you remember the first time you had baked mac and cheese?
See, I'm debating.
Yeah.
I have an aunt that can cook like nobody's business. And she would cook at her house, and that was good. But what I truly remember is in church. One of their Sunday meals after church, they have a reverend there, and downstairs the ladies were cooking, and they were frying up chicken, macaroni and cheese, collard greens, potato salad, and I ate that macaroni and cheese they made, and nothing else compared since.
They put their foot in that, huh?
They put more than their foot in there. I don't know. They put their foot, their fist, their eyeballs.
Not the eyeball.
I don't know, but they did something to that macaroni and cheese because I've been hooked ever since for all these years.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're in the kitchen. Mom, tell me what's the first step?
Well, the noodles important.
Yes.
And not to overcook them, not to undercook your noodles. Whatever your bag says or box says on the back, going to make sure maybe a minute or two less.
Right.
So that they don't be too soggy when we're going to cook them.
So we got about a pound.
A pound, yes. A pound can make you, depends on what you have. They say 1 9 by 13 if you're not using a lot of cheese. But if you're using a lot of cheese, that's going to make 2 9 by 13s. Okay?
Yeah.
And then the more milk you need is the more space you need. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because
So-
it fills it up. So I'm going to do
Two?
pans just to make sure,
Okay.
cheese and moisture.
So we're making 2 9 by 13 pans of baked macaroni and cheese. We got a pound of macaroni, and we're going to start off by boiling our noodles. So
Yes.
go ahead, Mom. Go
What
ahead.
we do is pour them in. And be careful not to burn yourself.
Make sure you add
And
salt.
one important thing is you must give your noodle water some salt. If you don't give it any salt, they're going to be bland tasting. You definitely got to stir them around so you loosen them up. My bag said about 11 minutes. 9 minutes, I'm going to pull them out
Okay.
so that they don't be so soggy.
We're just going to take a close-up of the mac and cheese. You do that?
See, it's not too much, not too less. Now, I was heavier with my onion and my garlic. Those are definites. And my Worcestershire, if I said it right. But you have it in. So now, I'm going to add about 1/3 of my cheese.
So that's
the cheeses.
mozzarella cheese.
Mozzarella. Extra sharp cheddar. Please. Of a ratio of almost 3 to 1, you must have extra sharp cheddar. It has to, because that what makes it get its flavor. And Kobe Jack. So I said about 1/3 of all the cheese that you're going to put in it, which we have about, let's see here. I say about 1.5 pounds of mozzarella, 1 pound of Kobe, and then I said about 3 pounds of cheddar, extra sharp cheddar. But now, going to mix it while it was warm. That's why I didn't really make it cold when I rinsed it off, so that some of the noodles will stick to the cheese. And I try to get it all throughout there because sometimes, well, when we spit the roux on it, it's going to go away from the noodles and stuff. So any cheese that I can have sticking to the noodles and melting ahead of time is better. Because I could have just not even put the cheese on there like some people do and just put it in there. But I see that it don't be enough cheese sticking to the noodles or hanging around the noodles. They run away. So this way, I make sure. Now I can add more than that 1/3. It seems like I'm coming up to the 1/2 of it, which is okay. So that means majority of my cheese is already on the noodles. But like I said, once I add that roux, I'm going to have to add more cheese because they're going to run away, kind of.
So I know we talked about it before, but like shredding your own cheese and buying store-bought. You said that if you shred your own cheese, it might melt a little better, right?
Yes. Well, it does. And actually, it melts a lot better, and then you have a different kind of pull and a string. And some people say it's a real giant noticeable thing.
Yeah.
And I think that this cheese does fine as well, though. Some people put American cheese in theirs as well.
American. No
I know.
way.
I tried it. Okay. Some people tried Velveeta. It just seemed like it's all on its own, though, when you put Velveeta, and it don't really adhere to the macaroni. It's like I like the extra sharp pepper. So now, everything I mix in my bowl, I'm going to halfen it between the two glass pans. In which the reason why I'm not just doing it into one pan is because we got to add that roux. And once you add that roux, it's going to fill up that pan. And once it fill up the pan, it has eggs in it as well. It's just like a quiche or, like an egg. Omelet is going to rise.
Yeah.
So that's why.
It will swell up and get bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I make sure it's maybe fit halfway of my pan that I'm making it in. I don't put more than half full because, like I said, once I add the rest of my cheese and the milk, it's going to rise later and it's going to fill up the pan. And I do not waste any cheese. I love cheese. It should be a law against me liking so much cheese because I mean, you take cheese away from me, I mean, I'm sad. And we don't want a sad Miss Yates.
I wanted to also show a close-up of the custard here. So your custard should look like that, or your roux. Nice and seasoned.
Yeah. And see, I said also, it should fit halfway up through your pan that you're going to bake it in.
I think that's
not
perfect.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I knew I had to put it in two. Some people think 1 pound of noodles is 1 9 by 13. It can be, but that means they
might bubble
not a lot
over.
of cheese. But no, yeah, and then not a lot of cheese, or they're making it a roux with no eggs. But once again, I'm still going to go back with another 4th of this cheese, or 3rd, whatever you said, because it's going to be one last remaining one, and that's after the macaroni and cheese is 90% done. I put more cheese on the top. But for the, I don't care. The mozzarella, Kobe Jack, I don't care if I put it all in here. But I got to reserve some of that extra sharp cheddar because it's like the jewel on your crown.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the top. And it actually is last. Now I'm making a messy Marvin look, but that's okay. Now the other thing is, I know for a fact, we put seasoning in there, and you don't see a lot of it. This cheese, along with it, is absorbing some of our seasoning. It is. So you can put a little more pepper, and noodles drink. Noodles drink. Like drunken noodles you heard of?
Yeah.
There's a reason why they say drunken noodles. You got to drink. Let them noodles get drunk. I'm going to put a little
Kobe Jack.
Kobe Jack as well. Well, all the cheeses pretty much except for the last one is going to be
The extra
cheddar.
Yeah.
I get a fork. I poke through it because when I put the milk through it, I wanted to go through. I use the chili powder.
Yeah.
That smokiness can come from paprika too. I already did 2 smokies.
Right.
Which were chili powder and
And
a cumin that I got from the adobo.
Yeah.
I don't want to put any more smoky season because the only thing you're going to do is smell the smoke
Right.
and taste the smoke. You're not going to taste the flavors of the extra sharp cheddar and
Right.
stuff.
I know some people do use like smoked Gouda. In replace of
Yeah,
that.
I do,
So-
but you gotta use very little.
Yeah.
And then if I would use smoked Gouda, I wouldn't have used the chili
Right.
powder.
So this
I would have
is-
backed off the cumin too.
This is some holes that you're putting in so all the milk and all that can get down into
Yeah,
it.
and you can sprinkle some pepper and some onion because that's your seasoning. Some more on here, in here, yeah. Before I put it in there. Because
put
noodles do drink up your flavor. The cheese now is helping to
This
that.
is pepper.
Yep, that's pepper
Just
and onion. And you might say, where's the noodles? There was a joke.
Where's the?
We don't make macaroni and cheese. We make cheese and mac. If that's what they think, that's fine. Because once it come out the oven, it ain't going to be so. At least it'll stick together.
I don't want to put.
And you know, there's not a lot of. No, you can't put too much on there because, like I said, this really, really absorbs. You're not overseeing, but it really absorbs. And nothing you see is too black or with pepper or too red in color. So I'm keep whisking, but now a good eye for your roux up the side edge of your macaroni cheese is a good call. And I had that fork to poke to see where my egg mixture is in my pan. Anything less than up halfway will make your noodles come out dry. You ever had macaroni and cheese and you're crunching on the noodles, kinda?
Yes, Lord.
That's because it didn't have enough of moisture or was not covered when it was covered in the oven. You see that? I see moisture there. That's my roux. If it come up a little bit more than half, that's fine with me. And I'd rather have too much roux in my pot than not enough. Because when you try to add milk more and more at the end and you didn't have enough here, it don't have the eggs in it and it won't help combine it. So, this one don't have as much as the other one. That pan is fine.
This one
and the
looks
more
slightly bigger.
The more it is slightly big. And the more liquid you put in there, is the longer you're gonna have to let it cook a little bit to dry and fluff up, like it's quiche or omelet. Think about it. It's actually like a macaroni and cheese omelet when you make the roux. That's what it is.
That's an interesting way to put it.
But it's the truth because quiches with all that milk and egg, cheese, and then it fluffs up. But you only have macaroni in the middle of it. And like I said, I'm still going to add whatever cheese I had before I put it in the oven. I'm going to cover it as well. And we're going to cover it with aluminum foil unless your pan has one of those. Some people have where their cooking pans have a lid on it. I have to get me one of those again. It was one of my favorites I had. I don't know what happened to that pan. I don't know. Somebody was in my kitchen.
Not in your kitchen.
Yes, it was, because they're awesome to have. So like I said, the roux is up there, say about 3/4 of it. That ain't going to kill me. At least I have to 3/4. That ain't going to kill me. I'm not going to ever put it where it's over the cheese and everything because you don't want it over the milk roux over the cheese. You got to have at least a little bit of cheese showing. And a lot of cheese, actually. The more cheese, you can never go wrong.
Do you need to spray your aluminum?
No, aluminum you don't spray. Some people put, okay, some people even put butter on their macaroni and cheese. That I can do. I'm going to be a little different.
I'll get you a butter, stick of butter.
And some people even spray their macaroni pan. But I know the oil from the cheese will be all right,
not stick.
Right. And some people, like I had that out, could do it so it don't stick. But I'm going to be sweet. I'm going to use some butter today. Don't tell nobody. You know, I'm just, Don't tell nobody.
On top.
Don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody we did. I don't know what you talking about. They gonna say, no, Miss, I didn't do that. I don't know what you're talking. She said she ain't gonna use no butter. No, she using some butter today. Yeah, it's a butter kind of day.
So what does the butter do to the top of this?
Well, the butter actually gives it the butter taste. Right. Flavor,
some color,
some
too.
oil, some color. Well, you know what? Cheese makes its own color. You talking about some butter flaming through the macaroni? Yes. See, now you gonna get me. You know. I'm trying to tell you because we don't have to use so much of things. And I actually heard macaroni was invented or created in the South.
Yes.
I just didn't think about where or who was the first person to ever make it. But it was in the southern states.
But we keep our culture alive here in Lancaster.
Yeah, and actually I did not know a colored person actually was the first to make this. That was something that I learned just recently on some of the newer facts they're trying to give out about African American. Good things to know. No wonder we love it so much. And now you can cover up that one, young lady.
I could do that for you.
If you don't mind. And then, like I said, 375 degrees Or it depends on what pan you want. If your oven is one of those extra hot ovens, you can do 350. It'll cook longer. But everything in here is actually done except for the eggs.
Right.
So I'm waiting for that egg custard to get cooked pretty much, and the cheese is to melt. And that's all I need to do. And I'm going to put it for 375, and I'm going to check it in about 40 minutes, or 35 to 40 minutes. Let's go 35, because it's glass, and glass cooks faster than a cast iron skillet, I think.
I should have put more on this side.
Some of the metals hold up better, but glass don't take long at all. Okay? And it's okay. I put them side by side. Side by side. It's been 35 minutes.
Yes.
I checked the bottom of my macaroni and cheese too.
All right,
Some people...
Be careful, Mom.
Yes, it's starting to brown.
When you got granite, you can just put it on there.
Yes, granite. If it's a glass bowl, glass pan, make sure your granite is not wet. That's not cool if it's wet.
Okay.
All right, so you see that? That's macaroni and cheese. Some people just brown their cheese in the oven for 15 more minutes so it get at the top. Me, I take a fork and go around the edges for some weird reason, unbeknownst to me, so that it really get all the way down in the bottom of it, the oils and stuff.
I think in the last clip we didn't say that you should grease your pan with
spray your pan first. But see, mine is coming apart without it, but some people spray your pan.
Yes.
That's why I put the butter on the top. And you can rotate your pan because sometimes it cooks uneven. One side will be darker than the other. Mm-hmm. You know how that is, right?
Yeah.
Like when you make cookies, you go in the pan and turn them around so they all cook even. All right. So I'm going to sprinkle some the last of the cheddar. Yep. Told you to reserve a little bit. And I'm only going to let it get brown. You can turn your broiler on for 5 minutes and just let the cheese, and that's what I think I might do. Or just cook it for 10 more minutes. Let it get brown. And let this top cheese melt. And that'll be our macaroni and cheese adventure. So we pulled it out of the oven after about 6 minutes. I just wanted the cheese to melt. I couldn't wait really anymore. I wanted to try some. You're supposed to let it cool down too.
Let it cool so it can solidify.
Yes. But pretty much macaroni and cheese. It's creamy. Oh, yes, baby.
It has some texture.
Oh, yes, it does, baby.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. And believe it or not, you have to taste it to know it. Other than that, like I said, it's 1,000,001 ways of how to make macaroni and cheese. It's too hot right now, but
let's see.
As far as if you like...
Yeah, get into it.
Evaporated milk, you can do that with your whole milk. Mm-hmm. You have to make it even richer or even half and half or just
I need to try
heavy cream. It's hot as huspucky.
I know.
So you blow, because you're, yeah. Do it have any flavor? Mm-hmm. Honestly, I always believe you got to tell the truth.
No, that's good.
Is it?
Mom, why would I lie?
I mean, just tell the truth. You got to tell the truth. And it ain't over the crazy top, but you can create and do any different things to it that you like. Yeah. Some people make theirs thicker in a bigger pan, more cheesy compact. Could have did it in one little pan.
And then as it cools, like I said, as it cools, it'll become like...
It sticks together.
Right now it's warm, so it's a little loose, but
it's important that you have flavor in your noodles. Yeah. Is there flavor in your noodles?
Yeah, there's flavor in the noodles.
There's flavor in the noodles. Okay. Thanks for hanging out with the Yates family.
Yeah. Have a good one.
See you later.
That's right.
Yeah, the name of the restaurant is called Caribbean Wave.
Okay, what type of foods do you sell here?
We just keep it authentic Jamaican.
Yeah.
You understand? From the root, we sell like oxtail, we sell curry chicken, we sell curry goat, we sell jerk chicken, all of that. You understand? We have shrimp made in different styles from real Jamaican, authentic way.
Yeah.
You understand? All natural. You understand? So you all can come and try it out.
Yeah, we're gonna try, of course. So what made you come to Lancaster then?
Well, first and foremost in this interview, I'm a God-fearing man, you understand? And you know, whenever God lead, I follow.
Yeah.
You understand? So I know wherever he lead me to, that's where I come. And then when I met the owner of the restaurant by the name of Damien, popular known as Wolf. So we just developed that bond.
Yeah.
You understand? Because we have we share similarities in goals and aspirations. So we just connected like that since ever we met.
Yeah. How long has this been open?
It's over like 10 years now.
Oh, really? Wow.
10 years, 6 years. To be honest, like 6 years now.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. I live in this area, so
Yeah.
I've seen it a couple times. I've been here about twice, so I was like, yeah, we definitely gotta highlight them, you know?
Yes.
So what do you think is your most popular dish here?
Well, to be honest, as a Jamaican and as a person who do cooking and do every little thing around here, to me everything is popular, you know? Everything is popular because everything tastes delicious.
Yeah.
You are going to take a tour inside of the restaurant. This is the outside of the restaurant. You know, we always keep it clean.
Yeah.
Customers pulling up. It's all peaceful, all love. That's all we show around here, love. Ladies first, you know, I'm a gentleman.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, can I do 2 dinners? The first one is going to be a drink dinner.
So inside here we have like all the amusement thing. Like right now we play pool. You understand? If you have it, you can come and check out your skills, your pool skills.
I'm not that good at it.
You ain't that good? Yeah. And right here is the menu. And right here we have like the Jamaican drinks, all of that.
All types of drinks.
Yeah. So once you come inside here, you can get your thirst quenched.
Yes.
Yeah, for real. That's the owner.
Oh, that's the owner.
Yeah, his name is Damien. He's the one who found it and everything, you understand? So you all can come and show us some love, because that's the only thing we're going to show you guys. We're going to show you guys just 2 things, love and respect. You understand? We really appreciate everyone who come and support, and people who hear about it and is out of reach geographically. They are not close in Lancaster to support. Just tell a friend and tell a friend to tell a friend.
Right.
We all appreciate you guys a lot.
As we near the end of our tour of Lancaster City, we have one final stop to make. We'll be meeting with Isiah Perry, the program director of Brightside Opportunity Center. This incredible organization is dedicated to providing opportunities and resources to the youth of color in the area, helping to empower them and set them on a path to success. Isiah will take us on a robust tour of some of the initiatives and programs offered by Brightside, from technical training and career development to mentorship and leadership opportunities. We'll hear about some of the young people who have benefited from the program and learn about Brightside's impact in the community. First, tell me about you, your name, and what you do here at Brightside.
Absolutely. Isiah Perry, born and raised in Lancaster City, Southeast Lancaster to be more specific. Those from the Southeast know why it's important to us. And I am the program director at Brightside Opportunity Center.
Can you tell us about Brightside Opportunity Center and what inspired its creation?
Absolutely. So Brightside Baptist Church was moving the church in 2002 was when they started this campaign to move the church from the Southeast Lancaster on Queen Street over to a new place where they could fit all the members. So during that time, the church had 3 services, sometimes 4 services a Sunday, and the facilities just weren't really up to par with what the members needed at that time. So there was this huge grass field here on Hershey Avenue, and the church started to campaign to move the building here. So after fighting a long, treacherous battle with conservatives and people who just didn't want to see a black church on this side of town, if we're being honest, they finally were able to purchase the land and start construction on this massive building. So in 2004, when they built the building, they thought it would just be a church. Amen, hallelujah. The building also had a gym, a healthcare center on the 3rd floor, and a fitness center. And they quickly realized that the church just couldn't manage all of that. So they formed a separate 501c3, which is now known as Brightside Opportunity Center. So we are an outgrowth of Brightside Baptist Church.
Okay. What are some of the specific youth programs that Brightside offers, and how do they benefit youth of color?
Oh, this is amazing, only because youth are like my true passion. So we offer a lot of STEM programming amongst other things, but I want to focus on STEM for a second because it's the most robust programming that we have. So if I were to talk about our STEM programs, it would be a long list and I would probably never finish because I love them all equally. But our flagship programs are STEM Girls Leadership Academy, STEM Boys Leadership Academy, and STEM Camp in the summer months.
So how did those come about?
Absolutely. So our CEO, Yolanda McLeod, was a Black woman in the tech field, and she was constantly the one and only at her different jobs. And when she started here as the CEO of Brightside, she really wanted to shift that change and have equal representation in the field. So for young girls of color, we know as early as second grade, they test better than boys in math and science.
Absolutely.
But when they get to middle school, due to unconscious bias in the classroom, teachers call on them less, and they're less encouraged to pursue careers in math and science. So we wanted to flip that on its head and achieve true equity. So a lot of our programs are focused towards girls of color and empowering them so that they can not only see themselves, but if they don't see themselves, have the courage and the fortitude to become the first, to be the first, and support each other in that pursuit.
That's awesome, actually. Okay, so how does Brightside work to address systematic issues of inequality and racism in its programs?
We put our money where the mouth is. Not only do we grant right with intention, all our programs have specific desired outcomes that uplift youth of color. So for instance, our Girls Who Code program pays high school girls $1,500 to learn how to computer code. So we know that women are just underrepresented in the tech field. And if you're a teenager during the summer, you have to work a summer job, or you're focused on lots of different other things and they're not empowered. So we actually get to pay them $1,500 to learn new skills and go ahead and tackle challenges in a field that they wouldn't otherwise be interested in.
Absolutely. So how have you seen the youth who participate in Brightside's programs grow and develop over time?
Oh, awesome. It's so amazing to see the kids blow past me and their intellect. So for instance, our Girls Who Code program, in the first 2 weeks, Mr. Isiah can help them. I'm like, here we go. This is how you loop a code. And by that 5th week, they're designing websites and I cannot help them. So that's where we have amazing online facilitators come in and help them out. But we have lots of awesome kids who start as STEM campers, then become camp staff, and then just grow from there. So I want to shout out Essence Winters, who is now at Spelman. She's in her freshman year.
Wow.
And she started with us when she was in middle school as a STEM camper, became a facilitator for STEM camp. And the beautiful thing is these are people that the kids are getting attached to, that they become mentors for the youth, and they come back every year.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful to see that bridge that we're building. So now at Spelman, we were able to get her scholarships, and she completely earned them all on her own. So it's not like we got her, but we were able to assist her with that process. And that's beautiful to see, like little middle school Essence to now be in college as a freshman. And then she's also coming back in May to help with a computer science workshop. Okay. So it's beautiful that to see her on that journey, but then also the youth get to follow Miss Essence. And a lot of them remember her from being a STEM camp staff, or some of the kids remember her when she was a little camper. And it's beautiful to see that journey. It's also important to us that we pay livable wages. So as someone in a hiring position, if my STEM camp kids are 90% kids of color, which they are, it's important to me that my staff reflects the kids.
Right.
So statistics show that we learn better from people who look like us. So if I have all these black and brown beautiful babies, why, when I'm hiring, am I hiring staff that don't look like them?
Yeah.
So it's important to me that we are empowering people of color to give back. So my camp staff make anywhere from $16 to $25, and that's important to me that we pay them. And when I grant write, my budget's like Mr. Isiah, you know, pay what some of the other youth serving agencies pay, but it's important to me that we uplift our community.
Absolutely. So can you speak of any of the partnerships or collaborations that Brightside has with other organizations in Lancaster?
Absolutely. So Brightside has become a certified wildlife habitat, which is crazy to me because I don't have a green thumb. I like to say I have a green pinky toe. But in the past 2 years, we'd installed a rain garden. We started planting more native plants around the campus and also planting more trees. That is because of a huge partnership with the Alliance for the Chesapeake Bay, the Lancaster Conservancy, IPC, One Water Partnership, and many other organizations. And the beautiful thing about that is we actually get to pair what's going on our campus and some of the rain gardens we installed with the education that we're doing for the kids. So in STEM Leadership Academy, we did environmental engineering. Wow. And the kids got to learn about Lancaster's stormwater runoff issue. Lancaster County is actually the #1 polluter of the Chesapeake Bay.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, from all the way from New York to Maryland, we all share the Chesapeake Bay. And Lancaster County, big reason is because we're huge in ag, but we're actually polluting the Chesapeake Bay. So it's a local issue with our stormwater runoff. And the kids got to be on that cutting edge solution and lend their youthfulness and their insight and their voice, which often isn't heard or just isn't asked for, into solutions that we can solve the problem. So it's been a great journey.
So I know you spoke about this a little bit, but can you tell me what do you see as the biggest challenges facing Lancaster youth of color, and how does Brightside address those issues?
A huge issue that we have is unconscious bias in the classroom and the school-to-prison pipeline. So a huge issue that troubles me is when a Black teen in middle school is suspended in the school district of Lancaster, they're 2 times more likely to go to prison. And that's a local fact. Right. And I remember Dr. Rao hosting this community meeting with the school district of Lancaster and their partners. And she read that statistic, and I was like, that has to be a national fact, right? There's no way that here in Lancaster City that this is a statistic. So to me, the challenge is, how are we inspiring kids in the classroom? For the kids who don't learn by sit down, be quiet, raise your hand, memorize this fact. You know, at McCaskey, as a senior, I took an IB class, and the kids didn't have enough textbooks for everyone to go around. So how are we preparing our kids if they don't have what they need in the classroom? Now, I think School District Lancaster does the best with what they have. Absolutely. And we have incredible educators. But how are community agencies helping to bridge that gap? So here the kids get a hands-on education. Everything we do is engineering, whether it's data science. They have the tools that they need. Our STEM Camp program teaches the kids that technology is a tool, not just for entertainment. They all get their own laptop. And that's with another partnership through United Way. So we have tons of partners who pour into our youth, but it's all to let them know, whether you have any intellectual or physical disabilities, whether you look like a scientist or what we think scientists look like, you can still achieve and go far.
Well said.
Thank you.
So how does Brightside measure the success of its programs, and what metrics do you use to evaluate the impact?
Great question. Okay, I'm like the evaluation freak. Yeah. I don't know why, but data is so important to me, not only to write grants, but then also capture what you're doing. Right. And it's easy when you work with kids to get lost in the sauce of all the amazing benefits, but capturing that data. So for the youth programs side, we are in a collaborative called Imagine Science, which is a national STEM initiative. And we capture our youth data through an entire system called PAIR and DOS, which is Dimensions of Success. So all our STEM programs get observed, all our facilitators get observed, and we get a score that measures all types of STEM factors and standards. And I'm happy to say that we got an A on that score. And our pair statistics in the Imagine Science Collective are actually second best in the country. We're behind Orange County.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, so the kids get a post-survey after the camp, and it's retrospective. So before the camp, what are some things that you believed about yourself? Did your family see you as a scientist? Did you care about computer science? And then they take that test and say, well, how do you feel about this now? And that all goes into a giant system, and we measure and get statistics and percentages. Evaluation can be a headache, but I love it so much.
Okay, so looking ahead, what are Brightside's goals for the future of its youth programs, and how do you see them evolving over time?
Oh, amazing. We really want to prepare our kids to be competitive in the workforce. So I see us getting into robotics. Like this summer, we got brand new Spear robots for our Space Week. And I really see us pairing with Black professionals around Lancaster County and the Northeast area of the United States. I want that representation for the kids. So as we pair more curriculums that are on the cutting edge of technology to prepare our kids for careers, I want the same scientists in those labs that right now that are working in those fields to come and mentor the kids so that they can see themselves successful.
Okay, in your opinion, what role do you think organizations like Brightside play in shaping the future of Lancaster and creating a more equitable community?
Brightside is one of the few organizations in Lancaster County that's actually Black founded and has equal representation on our board. We celebrate diversity. And really when things are understood, they don't have to be explained. And I only say that because when we talk about issues of inequalities in the STEM field or not having enough representation, the board understands that because that's their learned and lived experience. And in some other agencies, that may be something that fights a little bit tougher. So when I say I have a program that focuses on girls of color, that may be hard for another agency to capture. Well, are we discriminating our participants? Here we understand the importance of being truly inclusive in those programs.
Yeah.
So Brightside's voice is always looking at how Lancaster County can be more equitable and looking that through the scope of not only who we enroll in our programs to who we hire, but also how do we also acknowledge and inspire our partners to be inclusive in their hiring practices and who they enroll in their programs.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So 2 more questions. How can community members and supporters get involved with Brightside and support its mission?
That is amazing. So firstly, go to our website, look at our programs. You can always come in and volunteer. That's a huge one. And volunteers think that it's always a huge commitment. No, there's little tedious things. I may need someone to come in and vacuum for an afternoon or clean a window because we know that presentation is important. Or it may be mentoring youth in a program. Or if you work in a lab or you work at a doctor's office or your cousin in them works at NASA because we had that connection before. Go ahead and send me an email and say, hey, this person would love to come in and zoom in or come in and talk to the kids or share a little bit about what they do. That's a huge help.
Yeah.
And then the other one is donate. So support us. Donate to one of our programs. Check out one of our Amazon wish lists. Donate some food for the kids or some snacks. Little things like that where they come here and they're comfortable really go a long way.
Can you shout out your website?
Yes, brightsideopportunitycenter.org is the website. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. You can go on there, check out our photos and videos, and learn a little bit about our mission here.
Okay, last question. So, coming from you, can you give some advice that you want to give to the youth coming up in Lancaster, specifically youth of color? Just advice from Mr. Isiah.
My advice to kids is that you're not a product of your environment, rather you're a product of your expectations. So do some self-reflection and set some goals for yourself. And it can start out little, but your goals can get bigger as you achieve them. So your first goal this week I want to be able to wake up at 6 a.m. and get ready for school before my mom, grandma, or dad has to wake me up. And then your second goal maybe I want to eat a little bit healthier this week. So you're going to put down the Starburst and maybe pick up a carrot stick. But whatever your goals are, set goals for yourself. And be strategic about who's around you and who your friends are. Look at the 5 people around you and examine them. And see what their goals are. And if they don't align to what your goals for yourself are, you might want to find some 5 other people to hang out around. And my other advice would be to get involved and find someone who's going to hold you accountable, whether that's getting in a program, whether that's a coach or a teacher or a mentor, find someone that's going to hold you accountable. So if you don't do that homework, or your grade slips, or your room's a mess, or anything, that they're going to tap you on the shoulder and be like, let's get this mess together, because that's what we all need. All right, these are my beautiful kids from STEM Camp 2021, I believe. So a fun fact is I started 2 weeks before STEM Camp.
Okay.
And I got here and I said, holy moly, how are we going to empower these kids? And it was awesome. So one of my favorite activities and weeks that we do is Food Science Week. We all love to eat. I never met someone who doesn't like to eat, or kids who don't like to make a mess. So we get to make things like chocolate fudge. But we're not only making chocolate fudge and learning how to be food safe, we're learning about the melting point. So white chocolate, dark chocolate, and milk chocolate all have different melting points. Then we're learning about states of matter. So to see the chocolate go from a solid to a liquid, back to a solid again. And it just puts them into, okay, we're just cooking into, I'm being a scientist.
Right.
And then careers in that. Kids love Takis, Doritos. They all need food scientists to develop these new products and test them. And then it's always fun to be like, bugs are allowed to be in our food, and we study how many bugs the FDA allows. But that's one of the most amazing STEM camps that we have.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So this is my youth center. So in here we have the Academy. Okay. They're one of our amazing partners. What's going on, guys?
Hello.
All right. So this is my crazy space.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not too bad. It's a little crazy.
So what goes on in here?
So this is a room where STEM Leadership Academy happens, STEM Camp happens, Girls Who Code. So all our youth programming is primarily in this room.
Okay, here. Okay, yeah.
Yep. So this is one of my huge visions for this room, because you'll see a lot of stuff is mix and match, like a lot of the furniture. Yeah. So we got new floors in already. So that was my first initiative. Yeah. We had to make the room look better. So I want to kind of rip everything out and get all uniform furniture, and then also technology that supports what we do. So in my office, I keep all the laptops and everything, but I would love to have it all in here, locked up, and empower the kids. Right. And have this as a true maker space. So you'll see some projects we have out and about. So this is fun. So with this, you guys see a cardboard tube. I see a SLS, a small launch spaceship system. So during Space Week, the kids are all going to design their own rockets and parts of the rockets and label them using these guys. Nice. So really cool. Are they going to actually work? Like move or anything? Those are going to be their models. Oh, okay. Models. The design of it. So when we talk about STEM, there's levels. Right. So something like a bottle rocket is great. It's amazing. With Space Week, we take a deeper dive into it. So yes, of course, we're going to set off rockets, because how do you have Space Week and not do that, right? But we want to take it a step further, and so that they can actually label the parts of the spaceship, learn that it's an interactive part that all works together, and then also see that only about 1/8 of the ship actually makes it to the end destination. Right. It breaks apart and all that. So it's awesome. Project Artemis went to the moon again. Oh. And we saw that we have the first woman of color that's going to the moon. So it's an exciting time to inspire young ladies. One of the awesome things that we are doing is this green infrastructure practices that we have going on around the campus. So there's this thing called stormwater runoff. This whole entire field was nothing but grass and dirt before we built the building. And now with this huge parking lot, there's tons of water that can no longer infiltrate the earth. Right. So it creates a flooding issue for the Chesapeake Bay. So to help with that and to be good stewards of our earth and community, we're installing these rain barrels to go in. So this will actually allow us to use water that we capture from our roofing system. And it's a great place for the kids to incorporate artwork and what we're doing. This? So the kids had a hand in painting these as well.
Cool.
So not only are we teaching them about green infrastructure, and we're incorporating STEM and art. So it's an amazing thing where we're capturing all of the kids. So not just the ones that are scientifically inclined, but for the ones who want to be budding artists. All right, here goes your space, but while you art, you're also going to pick up some awesome tidbits about our environment as well. Bang. And then my rain garden. So it looks a little bit like a ditch because spring is just beginning, but we have some color going on. But this was a project that we did in collaboration with the church and Team 24, which is the church's Care for Creation team, the Alliance at the Chesapeake Bay, Interfaith Partners of the Chesapeake, One Water Partnership, and the Lancaster Conservancy, and tons of other organizations. But this was really the breeding ground of education for us last year as we talked about stormwater runoff, and we talked about how we solve the flooding issues and the pollution issues in the Chesapeake Bay. This was really what everything revolved around. So my girls in STEM Leadership Academy got to come out with the landscape architect. They got to sit out here with Emily Boyce from the Alliance of the Chesapeake Bay and learn about different types of grasses. I don't know if you know, but different types of grasses exist.
Yeah, don't know.
All of these plants love water. They are all pollinators, and they're all native to Pennsylvania. So a huge issue that we have around the country is we don't have native plants anymore. So the animals that are local can no longer eat the flowers that you plant outside your house. They're very beautiful, but they don't support our ecosystem.
Yeah.
So all of these are native plants. They're pollinators for the bees. The bees are a whole nother issue where all the bees are going extinct. And this is a great thing where we get to see bustling life and bugs flying around. Not everyone loves bugs.
Yeah.
I'm learning to appreciate bugs.
Yeah, they're important to our ecosystem.
They're so important to the ecosystem.
Yeah.
So the girls got to come out here, plant some native plants, get that education, and then also learn how to solve pollution, which is amazing.
Yeah, all in this space here.
All in this space.
Wow.
And this is a whole certified habitat. We have bunnies living in here, butterflies, squirrels, a whole bunch of other creatures. So I really got to be careful when I walk past this every day.
Lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my.
I'm telling you.
Thank you, Isiah. Thank you for sitting with us.
Thank you.
All done. As we wrap up our tour, we hope you enjoyed this glimpse into the vibrant and diverse culture of Lancaster City. From the food to the people, this city truly has something for everyone. We'd like to extend a special thanks to all of our guests for sharing their perspectives and experiences with us today. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon on another journey of exploration and discovery.